Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Potter, and I am the host of the Living the Dream Video Summit. I'm also the director of the Million Kisses Foundation, and I'm a musician living solely within a gift economy model. And what I have done is bring together presenters from all around the world to ask them one question: how are you living the dream? I want these individuals to help us break through the barriers that we have so that you and I can actually come to earth and do the thing that we came here to do, to really find that passion and to eliminate the excuses of why we are not living the dream. All different reasons why we're not doing that. And so these presenters have tools, they have so many things that can really encourage us and inspire us to move forward with courage. Today we go to Salt Lake City, Utah, and we have Brian Higgins. Welcome, Brian.
How are you doing, everybody?
Glad you're here. We have the opportunity to get to know who you are. It's something very unique, Brian, that you are offering the world. Brian is a filmmaker and a transmedia storyteller, originally from Northern Ireland. And you have work in film and stand-up comedy and the visual arts. And you are the founder of Create Real Change. And for the audience to see, it's real as in R-E-E-L, which is very clever and beautiful. And I happen to be very personally familiar with your work because of the work that we've done in the past with the veterans. And I just want to get started for having you get to tell us, what is Create Real Change? Tell us about it and how you actually did find this to be the dream.
Yep. Well, Create Real Change, it's a nonprofit. It's a registered 501c3 that I've been working on for probably about the past 5 years. And what it is, it's films about mental health that help to break down the stigma. Because again, there's a lot of stigma in the world against mental health, and people just really don't understand it. So basically, I help people tell their stories through filmmaking, creativity, and stand-up, so that we can be more connected and hopefully turn our messes into our messages.
So tell us, I want to know, one of the main things, you are passionate about changing the stigma. You're passionate about assisting people in using the tool of expression. So one of the things about this, Brian, is that most people with mental health histories, people who they don't want to be expressing themselves. The opposite is true. That people want to hide that, to cover it up, to drown themselves in all sorts of addictions. I mean, we very much know what happens if there's not a healthy expression. How does Create Real Change actually help people feel safe to be vulnerable?
Well, it is difficult for people to stand up and have true vulnerability and true honesty in their story, because a lot of people hide it. And that's really one of the difficulties with mental health, because that's one of the issues. It makes you feel ashamed, again, from the outward stigma, but also your inward stigma that makes you want to, feel terrible, not want to get out of bed, not want to move forward, and just all the voices in your head telling you that you're not worthy. So basically, like with Create Real Change, it's all based on my own recovery and my own story, because I have conflict-based post-traumatic stress. I was homeless, and I had all the addictions, all the depressions, all the mental health issues that go along with that. And it was difficult as well for me to be able to stand up and say, I need help. I didn't know how to communicate, how to tell my story. So what I did with Create Real Change was I found a way that we can communicate more connectively, because not everyone has had personal experience with addiction. Not everyone's had an experience with depression. Not everyone's had experience with bipolar or PTSD. The list goes on and on and on. But when we find the common denominators, the common issues, so if we look at addiction, mostly it's really fear and pain. It's a lot of self-medication. Nobody is just an addict because they want to be an addict. There's a lot of issues behind the scenes that they're trying to mask, that they're trying to get over and trying to either to live in oblivion or to run away from. So again, we look at, their fear and pain are mostly the common denominators within addiction. And as I say, not everyone's had experience with addiction, but everyone's had experience with pain and fear. So what I do is I help people take their stories, take their specific issues, and create narrative forms around that, which is what we did back a few years ago up at the VA here, where we helped with the veterans, and we we told a couple of different stories that made the audience have a visceral experience towards pain or towards fear or towards anger so they could connect with it. And then when we present the films and people have that emotional connection, saying, oh, I remember when I experienced fear, that made me scary, the monster under the bed. And then we tell the story about, well, the monster under the bed is my depression. You know, it's constantly chasing me. It's the shadow that's going to come and get me. Then people can be more connected because they remember as a child what it was like, the monster under the bed, terrified of the dark. And it's just, you know, helping people connect the dots so that then they're more inclined to help. So like one of the better examples that I have, because a lot of people can't, again, as you say, what I do is it's so nuanced and it's a different perspective than what most people are doing. So it is difficult for people to really connect and understand. So I was working with another veteran, a Vietnam era guy, and again, he's a heroin addict, functional heroin addict for 40 years, you know, just one foot in front of the other, just trying to keep moving forward, but always falling backwards. And actually, that's a phrase, a coined phrase, just in my mind. Like, it's always one foot in front of the other, but two steps back, you know, in recovery and any type of, you know, type of expression for wellness. But anyway, so his thing, you know, heroin addiction, and as I say, not everyone knows what it's like to be a heroin addict. Not everyone knows what it's like to be homeless. And there is the stigma attached. You know, people will say, well, just stop taking heroin, just stop drinking. What's wrong with you? Or if you're depressed, just get on with it. Listen to a happy song and move forward. Because that doesn't work. So as I say, you know, it was all about fear because of the Vietnam era. You know, he was plucked out of the draft and sent over to Vietnam and saw these horrific things. That coming back to the real world, nobody could really connect with that. You know, if you're trying to be honest and vulnerable and saying, here's my stories, here's my issues, people don't have their own personal experience with that. So we came up with a film about stubbing his toe because, again, that's pain, you know, and everybody in the world has stubbed their toe before, and everyone knows it's the worst pain imaginable, you know. So, and when you stub your toe, you have the knee-jerk reaction to shout and scream, you know, and release that emotion, and then grab your toe, you know, and if it's bleeding, whatever, you put a bandage on it, you put ice on it, so that you can literally and figuratively take another step forward. So we make this film, and that's all it exists as, because then when we show it, when the toe stubbing happens, the whole audience remembers, oh, I remember when that happened to me. And I'll tell you what, when I stubbed my toe, it was so much worse than when you stubbed your toe. It all becomes that one-upmanship. You know, my toenail nearly came off. You don't know anything about pain. You know, and that's how it exists. And then that's just the message. There's nothing within the film about addiction. But then the true beauty of recovery comes is after the film's off screen, the participants come out on stage and they talk, sort of like a TED Talk style. And they'll say, well, I made the toe stubbing film. What it is my addiction, you know? Because I get up every morning and I don't want to use, just like you get up every morning and nobody wakes up and says, oh, it'd be really good if I stubbed my toe today. That would just be the icing on the cake. But something happens, you know, a surprise, whether it's good or bad. And my knee-jerk reaction is to use, you know, to put the needle in my arm or to take a drink to make that pain go away, because that's the only way I know how to communicate my issues. And then the audience will then connect with that and realize, wow, so it's about pain. There's other things that I do have understanding about. You know, how can I help? And hopefully, you know, there's a better understanding as they move forward. So,
wow.
So that's basically what Create Real Change really is. So
I love it. I love it so much. And I want to say, and I want you to clarify if I don't get this all the way right. So, because I feel like this is a really strong point of what you're doing. I sense that the films that you're creating with the person who's coming to you, it's not actually about the end result, more that it's about the expression. It's about the expression, and it's about the process of creating the film. That's where true therapy happens. The end result is this beautiful accomplishment feeling, but the expression itself and the making of the film is where the power is. Would you agree with that?
Well, of course, there's so many, like, I feel that the icing on the cake, the beauty of it, where it all comes together, is the final piece when you get to show it in front of, because then you're in a dark room with 400 strangers all giving you a round of applause. And that may be the first time in your entire life that people have appreciated you. for something that you've created. And then to be able to stand up on stage and tell your story like that, there's self-esteem, that people are helping. But it's all like a big jigsaw puzzle, because there's so much aspects in any creative ambition. So you've got, especially in filmmaking, you've got the expression side, you've got the conflict resolution, you've got the troubleshooting, you've got the team building. There's so many different little nuanced aspects, and including when you get to direct the scene. If there's a chair in the way, you can say, "Oh, excuse me, oh, the chair's in my shot. Can you take it out of the way?" And someone will move it. And then again, that could be the first time that anybody has ever done what you've asked them to do. Just that simple little thing, where subconsciously you'll start feeling, oh, I am real. I'm here. I mean something. People will respond to me. And then, we look at the framing of the shot. You can, just with mental health, you can have very much tunnel vision. Everything's miserable. This is all happening to me. And with the framing of your shot, you can aim your camera at a crack in the floor and just concentrate on that and say, there's nothing here. Nothing exists except for this crack. But if you move the camera around, you can see, oh, there's beautiful tree outside. There's all these people over here. And it's just so many different little pieces of the puzzle that all come together to help you on your way. So.
Okay, so thank you. You really expanded that for me. In my mind, I was thinking of just one aspect, but what you did was just take us through the whole experience of how powerful this really can be. So thank you for that. That was beautiful imagery in my mind too, of just the person being a director for the first time and saying, "Oh, can you move that chair? Wow." And someone's like, "Yeah, absolutely. This is your film. This is your experience. And you are the director." That is so powerful. I'm glad that you are really paying attention to those small moments of that true therapeutic experience. So in your bio, you talked about your passion of inspiring and motivating acceptance of mental health issues. So what is the power behind acceptance?
Well, because, everyone has their issues. And I feel that with a lot of the great achievements in the world of history, we can look back and you can see that they were mostly, like, especially with art, all the greatest art has been created due to mental health, and people have a different drive and a different vision to keep moving forward. I find a lot of people that I know that I've worked with, and just my whole community is based in the mental health world. They're the strongest people that I know, because, you see there's darkness, but you try to keep moving towards the light, to keep turning it on. And there's a great, well, I'm getting off I'll try to get back to your question, but just accepting, it's just all about, putting your arms out. And I say that what I do, it's marketing for mental health, and it's helping people tell their stories in a way to be accepted. So, like, if we look at marketing in the corporate world, the ROI is financial. How much money can I put into this so I can get more money back? And I find, like, with marketing for mental health, it's how much of me will I put into this so I can get some hugs back? And that's the ROI in marketing for mental health. It's hugs. So, there's no need to be ashamed of who you are, of what you are, what you're going through. Just stand up and be proud of it. And there's so many benefits when you can be vulnerable like that.
Absolutely. And so I'm tying everything back to who our audience is. Our audience signed up for this because they are seeing that they want examples of someone who's living the dream and helping encourage them and inspire them to live their dream. One of the things that you're tying into is there are people, most people, if not all, have some kind of mental health concerns, challenges, most people in the world. And what you're saying is, let's not make that an excuse to why you're not living your dream. Let's not make that excuse of just hiding behind the fears. So one of the questions when people sign up for the interview, to listen to the interviews, is how can I take my health to the next ultimate level? So I want you to, that's something that you're already starting to answer. Is the first thing is accept where you are and who you are. Accept whoever you are, your depression, it's life. It's life. Let's do what you want to do and express yourself and take yourself to the next level by first beginning to accept who you are right now. Anything else you want to share about that? Helping our audience today take their health to the next level. What do you say about that?
Yeah, well, I think I have a concept, there's always that saying, you can be anything that you want to be. Now, I don't necessarily believe that's true, but I think that you can, whatever you want to be, you can be. Because if you truly listen to deep inside what's within you, you've already got the tools of the trade of what's there. And if you can just start moving towards that, you're going to get there and you're going to be whatever you want to be. And so for myself, to bring it back to a personal experience, I could never be a doctor. I could never be a surgeon because I know within I don't have that ability. I don't have the ability to go and read a ton of books and go to school and learn to be a surgeon. But I don't want to be a surgeon, you see. What I want to be is a filmmaker and a creative. And that's what I've got within me. And once I started listening to that and knowing truly those are my talents, those are my God-given talents or my nature-given talents, to enable me to be what I truly want to be. And I think if we look at everybody in the world, everybody has something specific that they were created to be on this path. And if everyone can listen to that and truly become that, we'll all be a piece of the puzzle, and then the puzzle will all come together, and then we'll see a big, beautiful picture.
So there was one point in your life that you decided not to let your post-traumatic stress disorder and the trauma that you've experienced and the homelessness, you've decided to not let that be an excuse, Brian, so that you actually can make difference and to live this dream. Take us back to those moments. And the reason why is because there are some people listening right now that are there, that they're right on that brink of, I'm about to lose hope forever, or I have the choice to actually spiral up. And get vulnerable with us about how you made a choice to actually not make those an excuses for you so that you can be where you are today.
Okay. Well, we can look at the flip side of the coin, where there was a long time in my life where I allowed them to control me, and I allowed the darkness, and I allowed all the pain and misery to be on top of me, which led me to be homeless, and which led me to be actively drinking myself to death at that point, because my issues were so massive to me. I felt that the answer had to be just as big, and it was unattainable for me. Of course, I had gone to support groups, and I'd gone to therapy, and I'd gone to psychiatry, and I tried pharmaceuticals, and I tried everything, everything under the sun, but nothing resonated with me because I wasn't able to tell my story in a proper communicative way that people would know how to help me. So as I say, it ended up I was homeless, and at that stage I was happier to be oblivious in the substances rather than be scared in real life. And I did have a bit of a helping hand, again, through God or nature or whatever, or the universe. But a lot of my issues, because it was conflict-based post-traumatic stress, was from the military. So there was a lot of gun violence, and a lot of times that there were guns to my head. My life was in immediate danger, and those were the major flashbacks that I couldn't get over. Those were the hurdles. Because again, me trying to tell that story to Joe public, they don't know what it's like to have a gun, in their, put it on their forehead. And then what actually happened was I was just wandering the streets one day, and just happy being oblivious in the bottle. And there were these two little 5-year-old boys with their parents having a picnic, and they had bananas, and they came up and they shot me with the bananas. They were playing army. And a lot of people feel, well, did that trigger you? And I think, well, maybe on another day or another second, another moment, another year, yes, it could have triggered me. But what happened on that specific moment was that the thought popped into my head that if those two little boys are truly believing that those bananas are guns, there's no reason why I can't believe the opposite is true, that guns are bananas, which is, it's ridiculous. It is so silly, but it's like that. It's that origin. It's that superhero origin moment. But then I thought, wow, this is incredible. There's no reason why I can't. So I started drawing. I had like my hand drawing skills aren't the best, so I had to just rely on stickmen to start with. But I was drawing these stickmen of all my flashbacks and all my negative memories. But I always replaced the guns with bananas, which was able me to see a different perspective, and I painted these and I sculpted them. And as I got better, I animated them, and I just continued to always just concentrate on the bananas. And then over about 6 months, it changed my flashbacks. It changed my dreams, my nightmares. It didn't change my memories, because I'm still fully aware that it was guns and all that. But it's when your subconscious is trying to sabotage you, and showing you just re-envisioning these memories. But it was bananas now when I was asleep. So now I could start lucid dreaming, and I could take the banana off the guy and I could eat it. I never got to the point where I could share it with him, but that's okay. I can't say, oh, I wish I could still have more flashbacks so I can, get to that next level. But that was truly the origin moment, and that's when I started genuinely taking control and feeling, well, this is different. This is how I can control, because it's all just memories. We choose on a daily basis how we're going to interact with the world. We're not going to choose how the world interacts with us, but we get that choice to say, I'm going to be angry about this. I'm going to be happy about this. I'm going to smile. I'm going to move away. I'm going to move towards it. And everything happens for a reason, and it took me until I was 35 years old for that reason to show itself in a banana shape, So basically that's what I do with Create Real Change, because as I mentioned before, like my troubles were so significant to me and so massive to me that I thought that my answer had to be just as big. But in the end, my answer was a banana, the simplest thing. And that's always the answer. The answer is always the simplest thing. It may not be the entire answer, but it's enough to help you move forward, just that extra step until you find your other banana and another banana and another banana, and another banana. So basically what I do with Create Real Change is I help people find their bananas, to turn their triggers into beneficial forms. And once that beneficial form shows up for themselves, then they can use that to reach out and again help put the jigsaw pieces together and make the beautiful picture of the world, and that's the choice every single day. You got to look for the bananas, get a big old banana smile on the go.
Okay, I'm going to give you a public compliment. Are you ready?
Go right ahead.
Okay, Brian, I want to thank you for every banana you've ever experienced, so that you can have the amount of true, sincere love that is radiating from you right now. Your heart is humongous. I can feel it, and your eyes are so kind. And I'm saying this for anyone who's just listening, and you might want to stop and just like start watching right now, because truly what you're doing, you found your purpose. Everyone deserves to hear what you just said and apply it. Anyone who's ever experienced trauma, and that's pretty much anyone who's ever decided to be born on the earth. And here you are sharing your beautiful way of actually making one step closer to where people want to be healthy and healed. And I really appreciate everything that you've had to go through to get to the place that you are now so that true change can happen. So thank you for your beautiful heart.
Yeah, well, thank you. As I say, like all my issues, all the troubles, like as I say, the 35 years of trauma and struggle, it was all there to get me to where I am. And genuinely, I do feel that I'm the happiest man that I've ever been right now. So
amazing. So I want to have you explain, if people are getting this from all around the world. So how do people connect with you? How do they actually implement, support you? There's a couple of ways, and I want people to know the different ways that they can be involved with Create Real Change.
Well, you can find me on createrealchange.org. That's the website. I've just relaunched the website, rebranded everything, and gone in a different direction since I got the 501c3 back at the start of March. So you can go there. You can sign up for the newsletter. I do festivals with the films. We travel around. We do the festivals. We have participants to then stand up and tell their story. I do talks and presentations in the corporate world, to help people communicate better and just really practice love and joy in the world. So you can always as I say, find me on Facebook, Brian Higgins, or go to Create Real Change Facebook page or the website, and that's where you're gonna get it. And I am reaching out my little tentacles all around the world. So I most likely will be in a city near you coming up in the future.
So if there are people who actually want to host you and host an event for Create Real Change, that's also an option to connect with you that way.
Of course, yeah. And as I say, like as I just move forward, and everything I do is word of mouth. Again, what I do with Create Real Change, it's not that easily explained. in an elevator pitch. I always find when someone says to me, "Oh, give me your elevator pitch," and I say, "Well, how many floors are we going?" Um, and so people mostly will see me talk, or see me do a stand-up show, or see me do a festival, and then they will approach me afterwards, and this is exactly what I never knew that I wanted or needed. You can come and talk with me. So yes, I'm certainly open. Wherever I can be on a plane tomorrow, if you need
Well,
me.
I know how busy you are, so don't say things that you don't mean, but but I know what you mean in general. Tell me, how do you find the participants? That there's so many people that I'm sure would love to have the experience of creating a film with you. How do you find them? How do they find you?
As I say, all available on the on online. Again, through word of mouth, through other festivals, through things like that.
So
And
do they have, so someone who's taking, is there an application process to actually get?
no, as long you just have to be open and honest with your
Oh,
issue. And again, as I said, like one of my catchphrases, it's not therapy, it's therapeutic. And so nobody's coming, no one's going to make you stand up on an Apple box and admit your issues. As I mentioned before, it's all about the common denominator. So in the group status in the workshops, nobody needs to know your history or your background. They just need to know the emotion or the issue that you're trying to communicate better.
right. Fear or pain, and then put that into some sort of other symbol of what you experienced.
Yes, and then as far as creating like a factual fiction of your story, then you can experience what the characters are doing and maybe help you realize, okay, well, this character is going left when I would always go right, but left is the right way to go. And that's again another nuanced piece of therapeutic experience. So I do private workshops like with treatment centers, refugee centers. I was working with a lot of Sudanese and Congolese teenage refugees, which was amazing because they can't speak English, and I certainly can't speak Congolese, but we could communicate through the power of film, and it was fantastic. We made a film about togetherness and pizza for all things, you know. Uh, but that's incredible, and it's really just so heartwarming and soul inspiring, soul enriching for me to be able to go out and meet all these people. So I do the private workshops that I'll come to your facility. I'm trying to get into the prison systems because that's another opportunity to help us, and then also into the school systems. But then I do public workshops too, mostly in Salt Lake, through the just in different like sandwich shops and coffee shops and things like that, where they're just drop-ins where people can come and learn about the concepts. So again, all the information is always on createrealchange.org.
So thank you. I want people to know that when I used to work at the VA, and that's how we actually met, is that you came and did a film workshop for the veterans there. And so I got to actually be hands-on. I actually was able to even create a film with you of my own pain and fears. And so I'm a big fan of what you're doing. And I got to see the result of the therapeutic experience. So I'm so grateful.
Well, thank you. Your film is still great. It's still online, so people can go and watch it if you like. You can link to it, but it's also again, it's not just about pain and fear. It can be about love. It can be about anger. It can be about hate. There's not just any type of thing that we can have a common denominator and a common communications.
I'm glad that you clarified that. That's true. It can be about any emotion that is a part of the human experience. I love that so much. So I want to ask you, this is a specific summit that we're doing, and you're giving a free gift to our audience. Tell us what that free gift is.
Yeah, well, if you sign up for the email list that I have, and it's on createrealchange.org, and I have a campaign. It's like hands up to end the stigma, and you can sign up for the email list, and if you do, I'll give you opportunities for free tickets and things like that for different festivals and things like that I'll be running in your areas.
Absolutely wonderful. Brian, that was the fastest interview I've done. That was amazing. We're already at the conclusion. Anything else you want to share before we go?
No, just one foot in front of the other. Well, just one foot in front of the other, and try to hold hands with someone with every step.
I love it. Great advice. This is so common for every single, no matter whether they are connected with film or whatever, I see the power of creation with people going one step in front of the other and just continuing to create, however that looks, so that their dream can unfold as they go. So I really love what you're doing so much. I appreciate this time with you.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yay. Okay. Well, I'll let the audience know that I am doing everything in my passion as well. And I am doing this summit and everything else I'm doing fully in a gift economy, because I'm not making money an excuse of why I don't do what I do. So I wanted to let you know that if you know that you get to give to me, I would gracefully receive that, because I'm living my dream. I want to support you in living yours. I want to continue to do that. And so I have completely allowed myself to receive that. And so you'll find my link below as well, and feel free to give generously and enjoy the rest of this summit. And Ryan, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.